I struggled to lose fat for years, trying diets and exercises that never worked. Then I learned 3 key secrets to fat loss that changed everything. And I'm here to share these 3 secrets. So getting right into number 1, you need to forget about metabolism. Let's go back in time. When I was younger, I secretly had a burning hatred for all of my skinny friends who could eat whatever they wanted and not put on any fat. Seeing skinny friends eat chocolate bars, ice cream, and fast food broke my spirit. Especially since I was the kid that was terrified of grabbing a second slice of pizza and being labeled a fatty at birthday parties. While doing my research and trying to figure out why this was the case and why these people seemingly burned off everything that they ate, the only logical explanation I could come up with was, well, they have a fast metabolism and mine was slow, so I guess I'll never be able to become skinny. But let me tell you the truth. If you were scared to take your shirt off at the pool like I was and blamed your slow metabolism as the cause of your one-pack abs, listen very carefully. Metabolism is like a car engine. Just as a car engine burns fuel to keep the vehicle moving, your metabolism turns food into energy and powers your body. Some people have a fast engine, a fast metabolism, and burn more energy, while others have a slower engine, a slower metabolism, and burn energy slower. Now, would you agree with this statement? A bigger car will burn more energy than a smaller car. I think 9 times out of 10, this is true. In the exact same way, if you're overweight, you actually burn more energy than people who are skinny, meaning your metabolism is fast. But what about sports cars, you may ask? Those we can compare to athletes. These are smaller cars, but they may burn just as much or even more energy than the big cars. And so understanding this made it all click. I wasn't fat because of my metabolism, I was fat because of my food choices. You have been lied to for a very long time. Evil doctors and TV shows want you to believe that you have a metabolism problem, because then they can sell you products. I don't want you to become another brainless person who blames their overeating and poor food choices on metabolism. You see, the difference between a slow and fast metabolism may only allow you to burn the equivalent of 1 cupcake per day. So you have to make this mental switch. It was only once I had this realization that I was able to take personal accountability and change my life for good. Now you may be thinking, okay, that's nice and all, but how do you go about fixing your food choices? Well, let me take you to the second secret. Decrease how good foods taste. I tried so many of the standard diets and basically failed all of them. Keto, failed. Carnivore, failed. Atkins, failed. After some time, I was convinced that, God forbid, I may be vegan and I would never be successful with dieting. But that was until I had a very interesting realization. I spent a week or so in another sprint of my unsuccessful dieting attempts. But this time, my diet was no ordinary diet. It was the zero sugar diet. Whoa! Now, of course, within a week, I was caught hiding in my closet eating snacks from the back of the cabinet, and I was also crying and maybe excreting other fluids. But from this, I learned something extremely valuable, because when I had my relapse of junk food, I very quickly realized that, oh my god, this tastes extremely sweet. You see, what happened is I slowly reset my palate to become very sensitive towards sweet foods. Try this experiment for yourself. Eat sweets all day and be mindful of how good they taste. The next day, have 0 sugar, and then add a little bit of sugar or honey to your tea at the end of the day. Notice how much sweeter the tea seems to taste after you went on this little detox. See, what nobody tells you is that this actually works, not just for sweets, but also regular everyday foods. If you slowly make your foods more and more boring, your palate will adjust and those boring foods will taste better. This is basic sensory adaptation. And oh my god, is he saying I have to make my foods taste worse and I can't eat Oreos every day? Yes. Is this really a shocker? Look, if you want mental masturbation advice, go watch some other YouTuber that's gonna show you their weight loss detox drink. You still here? Good. Now look, I get it. All of this sounds like it sucks, but think of it this way. If you adjust your palate to healthy foods, after the first few months of torture and resetting your preferences, it will 1, be natural for you to eat clean, 2, be easier for you to maintain healthy weight, and 3, when you eventually have something sweet, it will taste so much better than it does now. I'm not saying you should never have junk food again, but this modern world has destroyed our perception of how much pleasure our diet should bring. I often hear things like, but Mr. Savvy, my diet makes me happy and your diet looks so sad. I would be so depressed eating like you. When food stops becoming the most fun part of your day, you stop being fat. Find happiness somewhere else. Go find a hobby, spend time with friends, or even try to calculate the perfect dose of Molly to not black out on your candy flip. These are all fantastic ways to take your mind off of junk food. Highly processed, tasty foods should be be a rare treat and not part of your daily routine. As quoted in The Hungry Brain by Stefan Guyanet, these food substances may not be addictive until they are processed, extracted, highly refined, and concentrated by modern industrial processes. So what I did is I simply switched out all the super processed junk food for more natural sources, and this worked wonders. Now, if we try to do this too fast, it will fail. So the last secret I can give you is you have to start slow. This is where I probably ran into the longest and most frustrating part of my fat loss journey. I knew that I needed to eat clean, and it was my fault, not my metabolism. But I was still in the cycle of, okay, tomorrow, no junk food, only for tomorrow to come around, and you can hear me saying the exact same thing. Now, what changed it all for me was this one simple psychological switch. I thought that if I simply implemented little changes that I could stick with for the rest of my life, maybe over the next few months or a year, I'll be able to lose fat and actually keep it off. For so long, I was trying to go from 0 to 100 in one day, where instead I can go from 0 to 100 in 100 days, making my diet 1% cleaner every day, week, or even month. Surely I thought this is something I could commit to. So I started removing sugar from my daily coffee, which I was admittedly having closer to 4 or 5 times per day, and this saved me over 200 calories. That's literally a whole deficit from one switch. Then, after a few weeks of this habit, I decided to stop eating a bag of nuts every single day, which I was under the assumption was healthy food, but in reality it was putting me on track to building the Nikocado avocado physique. As you can see, if you implement things slowly over the span of weeks and months instead of going on quick fat diets, you change your habits, your identity, and you are far more likely to succeed in making long-term lasting changes. If you want help, press the first link in the description, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to stay savvy with your diet.